What's up, Lorehounds? It's Koopa inside the Wargaming.net booth. I'm here with Chris Scott, the associate producer for World of Warships. So you guys are actually showing it off for the first time in the US. And it is awesome. So you may have been scared, oh, naval game is going to be slow, but you guys have that great mix of arcade and simulation at the same time. How long did that take you guys?
Well, we've been working on World of Warships for quite some time right now, of course, but two core pillars of wargaming is always our historical accuracy and making sure we capture that feeling of being on the boat, right on the deck with those big guns swinging around and having fun. But also, pillar number two is definitely got to be fun games, making sure that our games are really exciting to actually get into and play.
So you guys have been working on it a little bit, and you were just saying the people who are on Warships are super into them, to the fact that they actually have the ships right there.
Yeah, actually, we're being developed out of St. Petersburg office, Leicester Studios, and there's about 180 guys out there, all very passionate about warships and naval history and stuff like that. And yeah, actually, right near them, they have one of the cruisers, the Aurora, out there, and so they can real close to do some research on.
So you guys actually are huge in the customization of your tanks or your planes. We know that from your previous games. And now the question is, how much of that on a warship are we going to do? Because we're on this massive boat, they can be huge, and there's all the the guns, the batteries, the crew, all that stuff.
Yeah, so just like a tank is a pretty simple machine when you think about it. It's got a gun, an engine, hopefully some armor, and other than that, there's not much going on. But as you said, a warship is just an infinitely complex machine. There's so much going on. 1,000 guys on deck, a million different pieces that all have to interlock together to work perfectly. A ton of redundancies, all that stuff. And so, yeah, making sure that we capture that feeling, but also don't make it overwhelming for our players is definitely one of our core tenets, right? Because we could give you access to every single gun on that deck. Make sure you do whatever you want, but it might be so overwhelming for our players that it's just not going to be entertaining. And so again, we want to make sure our games are really fun.
So one of the things you guys are known for is the module system, how to outfit your tank or plane or warship. Is that going to come into play in warships as well?
Yeah, so our tanks are a relatively simple machine. They have a gun, an engine, some tracks, and hopefully some armor. But compared to a battleship, it's just a massive machine with 1,000 guys running around on it. But so many different systems that have to interlock and work together, redundancies and things like that. So obviously these are much more complicated machines, and we want to make sure we don't overwhelm our players with just so much that we could say we could give you every control of every gun on our ship, but it just wouldn't be fun. So you talk about upgrades and modules. Obviously, we want to make sure that it's accurately represented in our history and things like that, and so we'll definitely allow you to customize your ships, just like not necessarily maybe in the way that you can do it in tanks or planes, because we want to make sure it's exactly how it fits for this type of gameplay.
And so we know crew plays a big part in tanks, and you just mentioned there's thousands of people on a boat. How are you guys going to handle that? I mean, we're not going to micro 1,000 people, right?
Yeah, exactly. Go back to the tank analogy. They've got 5 guys, maybe 4 in there, as opposed to so many. So obviously we have to rethink how that system works and really make sure, again, it works for this game, and make sure we have a fun game, and we also have that fun progression of things like crew that we've had before. And so absolutely, crew is a huge part of being on a warship. Designating are these guys going to work on a turret? Do I need to go put the fires out? Do I need to start bailing out water? There's all sorts of things these guys have to be doing. So
we actually just got some early gameplay footage. It looks great. You have awesome water effects when the guns are fired. And one of the things I noticed was the system actually can take over for some of the gameplay. So you're firing the main batteries, but all the little guns are fighting off the other planes and stuff like that. How did you come up with the balance of automation versus giving the player full reign?
Yeah, so I mean, it's that balance between fun and realism. So we also have a few things in there, like setting an autopilot system, so you can actually just have your ship drive itself while you focus on those main batteries. Again, giving you more time to actually think about what you want to do with the guns and things like that. So yeah, we have to think about what makes it an accessible game as well, because a lot of people have driven a car or played a game where they've driven a tank or a car, but not a lot of people have actually been on a boat. So we have to sort of capture that experience, but also make it so they don't feel overwhelmed and have no idea what they're doing because they've never actually been there before. So it's a sort of we want to do these new cool things and make sure we show off what's unique about being on a battleship, but we also, again, don't want to overwhelm our players.
It's an interesting point because, as you mentioned, we drive cars and stuff. A tank's not that different, but a warship, there's so many people that have never been on a boat, let alone,
Exactly.
drive something like that. We actually also saw some of the early gameplay footage where you had, it wasn't the artillery mode that you have in World of Tanks. It was something somewhat different, but it made it feel a little RTS-y, right? You have this high world view that we're in. And is that to try and bring in the player in a different way?
Well, yeah, so our carrier craft are going to be a very different style of gameplay, and so we have a top-down view that all of our ships can go into to help to navigate with that sort of waypoint system I was mentioning before, but also, the aircraft carrier is going to be one of controlling all of their different fighter craft, sort of, and they're going to need that sort of top-down RTS-style view to really make sure they have control over everything.
They just have so much stuff going on.
Yeah, because they've got fighter crafts, they've got dive bombers, they've got torpedo bombers, they have scouts, and not to mention the ship itself that's driving around. So
also that thing.
Also the massive carrier.
So World of Warships, we are still very early in alpha. What are we expecting as far as closed beta and that kind of progression?
Yeah, of course, $1 million question is we know when we're going to release and all that fun stuff. But yeah, we're hoping for CBT by the end of this year. But since we're still early in development, we really don't want to nail down any too solid dates because it's just there's so much fluidity going on.
All right, Lorehounds, we'll try and get you in that closed beta testing by the end of the year. We'll see what we can do. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.